all the blinking lights and all that crazy mess. But after all this time, it's finally coming together. Whoo, damn! So, trying to achieve essentially this for if this then that, automation, escape room sort of stuff. Yeah, anyway. Basically, this would be the network topology. We've got a root server that sits in your back office. This is the thing that you interact with as, you know, the person controlling everything. Each branch server would control a room, and in each room would be a one or many meshes and one-to-many nodes. Whew. Okay, so each of those ESP32s, those thingies over there, they will be a part of their own individual mesh networks and such. Oh, man. So, to make this super duper cool, Kezi has asked me to redesign the whole front end user interface to support more than just one room at a time. So here we are. Alright. Now, this is looking, you know, pretty like what the heck is going on here, but hopefully bear with me for a few minutes and we can find out what the heck I've done here. Alright, so this is the control panel. You can have this in your office. You can even bring it up on a tablet if you wanted to. If I can just do that. And there we go. And it'll come up on there, and I just scroll up on the stuff, and it does stuff. You can trigger things from here, but that's not what we're going to do right now because it's very hard to hold two devices at the same time. I really should have got something to hold this stupid phone. Anyway, so what happens here is we can design a whole game script and game flow, or whatever you want to call it, right from here and here, the user interface, right? So we've got, if we go back to this little picture here, each of these little devices here would be, for example, a button or a relay or a keypad inside of a room or wherever. You know, it could be an RFID reader, it could be whatever end device it is. So it'll either send out an event or do an action, for example. That's just so now to how do you control these events and actions that happen on that hardware level, because it's crazy. You've got to program all these little individual things inside these microcontrollers, and man, what happens if you go, man, you know, I wanted to add an extra button to this thing, but now I've got to go and reprogram that entire thing. Well, never fear. This is here. So what we can do is I'll show you how this, I'll just show you it working first of all. So here we have, what I have rigged up right now is all the Christmas room stuff. So none of the other ones are actually like wired up correctly or anything like that. So they're all just example things on other screens and stuff working, me just testing stupid stuff. I'm probably rambling. Anyway. So what happens is we have a completely configurable game screen as well, which is this thing, which you would be able to see inside of the room if you just have a monitor and access to your local network. You know, so you got Wi-Fi. That's about it. If not Wi-Fi, Ethernet cable, whatever. Anyway, so we have either a start instance button, or we also have a little hardware button that we can press. Either or, I've programmed this one to do exactly the same thing as that green one. So if I press this button here, clickety, if I can get it in camera, click, click, boom. There he goes, Alex Jones on Joe Rogan, and that was the start video. So that was a trigger to trigger when the game started. Then it starts the countdown timer. Now what that one was doing specifically was it pauses the timer when that video plays. And that's, you can turn that on or off. You can make it loop if you wanted to. And see this cool video in the background, like this static video going on, if you can see it. Yeah, it's probably too Yeah, there you go. You can kind of see it. Anyway, we got like a hint screen there, some message here, and just to show you that it's not just running on that one computer, but it's networked over here as well. So that's the exact mirror image. So even if I was to refresh this screen, that timer will still come up there. Yeah, the hint gets lost, obviously, but that's fine, right? Like, I mean, how often are you going to refresh the screen that's going to be on 24/7, right? Anyway, so that timer will count down. So if you have your own screen in the back room, you don't have to have like duplicate things and iframes and all sorts of crazy stuff. You can just have that screen open to see exactly what's happening on that screen, what videos it's playing, where they're up to, or whatever. Anyway, let's look at this thing. Oh, hey, how neat is that? It shows you at the time right here on the thing, counting down live as well, and up the top as well. So if we go into, like, say, script editor and we're mucking around on here doing other stuff, it's still counting down, and if we click over to it, it'll take us back to this page and all these other ones. And as you can see, if I hit start on this thing and start on this one, and let's say we start on this one, and then we can watch them all, they'll all be counting down all at the same time, right? And so no matter which one we're on, we can always control some things. Okay, so now one of the cool things about it is we can send hints. So I've got some hints set up, so a thing that's called not hint, and what it does is it puts the message in here first. So if you wanted to edit it and say whatever you want to say, and as soon as I hit send, click, there you go. My aspect ratio on my monitor is a bit out at the moment. If I zoom out, you'll be able to see all the letters. But the more letters you add, the smaller the text gets, so that it attempts to fit on the screen the best it can. And there you go. Yeah. We've also got pause time, so click that. There we go. Pause, time's resumed. Yeah, so yeah, pause time, time resumes. Yep, we can also update the time as well. So if we type in, like 40 minutes remaining, for example, and we hit, go, and then that will change over to 40 minutes and reflect it over onto that thing as well. And there you go, that's that. Okay, so now what happens? See this big list of things. Oh man, that's so many things. So these big grey bars are all of our events that can happen inside the room, and an event can have many actions, and some of these events also can have dependencies. So you can say, I don't want this thing happening unless this other thing has already happened first. So you don't have to have such a linear game. You can say if for example, I've got a simple one here that says that like, it won't show it up in here, but I've got it written in the back end of the script. I can say if relay 1 is off, then relay 2 can't be turned on. That's just a clause that I've got in there just to test that dependency. That works, it's good, it's great. An event can have one or many actions. For example, if I click on this, actions, it'll show me all these actions, and I can force an action from here as well, which is neat. If I click on this event, it will force that whole event. This thing just starts a relay, which nothing is actually hooked up to that one, but I can force relay 2, for example. Boom, the one that does actually have a dependency on it, and then I can stop relay 2, and that light has gone off. And so, yeah, there we go, on and off. Cool. Okay, but let's see what happens when where is that stupid keypad that I put? Oh, over here, of course it is. That's where it would be. Okay, so I've got this keyed in so that the number 1 6 times will turn on the first relay, and number 2 will turn on the second relay, 4 will turn 1 off, 5 will turn 2 off. Okay, so if I go 1 1 1 1 1 1, you can see that's turned on. Oh, you can hear some things happened. Yep, cool, the end hint, or whatever it was, but I didn't actually gear it for the end, so that's happening. Yeah, and so if I turn it off, yeah, there you go, it turns off. Now, what happens if I press 2 2 2 2 2 2? Nothing. It's exactly what I want it to happen. Now, if I turn on the first one, okay, and then try and turn on the second one. Ah, it's so bright. Yep. that works. But then I turn off the first one, and it doesn't affect this, which is exactly what you want as well. And that turns off. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Keypad. And the one or many actions, this is the one, this is the correct one, I think, yeah. There you go, and so that one event turned on all of them all at once. And it also turned them all off at once, if we wanted to. Yep. So there's that. We've also got RFID cards, test card on this little reader. Oh crap! And there you go. Plays some video, which is pretty sick. It's off a movie called Red Line. I just really like the song. It's jamming. Anyway, this one will pause the timer until the video is finished, and so there you go. I don't know if you were keeping track, but that would have paused in those few seconds that was playing. And so going back to this screen again, you can see here when those events were first triggered. So the stop relay was triggered at 37 minutes and 18 seconds and all that sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah. So let's figure out how to actually do this stuff. So one thing I'll tell you is when you make a new script, a page automatically gets created for it. So if I go over to this thing, which is called test script, it hasn't got anything in the background because I haven't told it to do anything yet. It's just straight up a test script. Brand spanker. I just made it like 2 minutes ago. If I go into here and I go a new one, and I'll call it video test. There you go, if you can see that, video test. And I'll save that. And then it gives me all these crazy options on like what the heck I want to do. It also has some default events and states, things that it kind of needs for it to run at the moment, like start instance and end instance. It sort of needs to know those so that when you do hit a hardware button, it triggers those things. We got 3 states, which is start instance, end instance, and timer complete. Those are mostly for triggers. So how this works is from the end user, from the device, a person will trigger an event. So this thing is constantly listening for events. And so once an event happens, it sends it over to the server, it does some magic, and it goes, oh, hey, let's check the script. What was meant to happen? Was something, is it valid? Is it a code that is valid? Is it meant to come from this device number? And is it a keypad? Is it a code from a keypad? All these sorts of things. I mean, it's super fast, as you kind of saw before. Yeah, and so it checks all those things and it sends out the appropriate actions. Now, also within a state as well, within an event, we can also trigger a state. So we'll just add an event and we'll call it new event. And I'm really bad at doing this. And then I've got all the options on what you can have. We'll call it a keypad code from, I think it's 13, has the keypad. And we'll call this B. Actually, this one isn't going to matter because it's not going to be hooked up to the server anyway. It doesn't matter. Some code. Yeah. And then we can say the dependencies for this, for example. So it must rely on the starting of the game. It must rely on timer complete. Those things are kind of silly because why would you depend on start game and timer complete? Like, you could, totally could. But, yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But we can say what the game state is when it's triggered. When this event is triggered, we can also append a game state to it. But we won't do that for now. We can also have actions, but we don't have any actions to do, so that's pretty much it for this one. So what we'll do is we'll save that. We've got our new event there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new state in, and I'll call it stateless or something cool like that. All right, save that, And what I'll do is I'll go into our new event and I'll say when our new event is thingied, it calls stateless, and then we can say, does it toggle stateless on or off? And so you can imagine if you've got, you know, like a chaser button, you can say if this one's on, then turn this one off, and turn this one on, turn this one off. Yeah, anyway, all that sort of stuff. So we can save that, that'll save out. And so what we can also do is triggers. Now this is what we can do with the triggers. Now I can set this one up as a background video, for example. Background, background, yep. And we can set it to listen for a particular state, for example, like stateless. We can make it play an audio file, but I can't remember the audio files actually. Do I have them? There we go, congrats. There's one called congrats. So at the moment, audio / congrats .mp3. Yep. And then we can say, do we want it to loop? I do not, because it's annoying. And we can say it's just a custom sound. So there's a few sounds. We can say it's a starting sound, an end, a background, or a custom. So the background would, if you just had a background track. So basically what happens is these are all unique sounds here. So if you set a start sound, or if you set a background sound and then have another trigger with background sound, it'll override the old background sound. Same with the custom sounds. If you've got a custom sound and then override it with another custom sound, it'll go over the top of it. We can get it to play a video file. We can make that file loop. We can make it pause while it's playing and such. And we can also have a hint, and it was la 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 la, and yep, we can actually, no, we do want a background video, but we'll do that in a minute. Anyway, save that, save it out, and I refresh the page because I haven't got it to do a thing yet, and there we go, video test is right at the back there. Boom, 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 and there we can see our events, and look, our stateless is true because it hasn't been triggered yet. Classic. Yeah, new event, blah blah blah. Anyway, so what we can do here is if we go to, we did not have this before, and if we go up to the URL and we type in video test, it'll take us to this screen. Right. Now one thing that I forgot to do when I was doing this was change how much time it was. Okay, so it's going to default at 60 minutes, which is fine. It's pretty much what we want, right? Yep. Okay. So we'll go back to video test. I really got to make that scooch over. Anyway, we'll go. Let's put this over here so you can see it, and we'll go start instance. Yeah, anyway, I hate when that happens. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, start instance, and we got end instance, and it will just, you know, stop the timer and stuff, but we haven't got any triggers on here anyway, do we? So we'll go back to script editor, and we can go to our video test, and what we might do is trigger, and we will put the video file as, what do you reckon? What do you reckon our video file should be? Whoa, we'll make it our Christmas background. Copy that. We'll make it a background video, and video file can be video / background.mp4. Yeah. Okay, cool. Save. Okay. Now, what that will do is, if we refresh that as well, look at that. That's our background video. And now we can hit start instance on the screen over here. Start instance, and our timer starts. And then, because we got no hints, but we can also send in our own custom hint anyway. Send, and there you go. There's there's that. Custom fonts are coming soon, but I'm really pressed for time, so I'm not doing them right now. We can send video, we can send all sorts of crazy stuff. Now, we'll go over to the ones that actually kind of work, which is these. As you can see, start instance is true, end is true, timer complete is false because we didn't run out of time. But we can also add, like if we go to script editor, we'll go to video test, and then we go down to triggers. We can add a new one, add a new trigger, and we can say, you know, we'll call it, well, that's fine. But like, where is it? State to listen for example, we can say when the timer is complete, send the hint and say, you lose. You loser. Yeah, yep. And we can send that. We can save it. Yep. And we'll go to video test over here again, and then we can. Yeah, we'll start it all over again, just so that all those triggers and events and stuff happen. And so if we update this to have like, you know, 3 seconds left or something, right? So we'll hit update. Yep, turns out I was clicking on the wrong one. So 3, 2, 1, you loser. Yep, even I'm no good at this yet. Probably shouldn't have just called it test. Yep. Anyway, so yeah, because I've reset pretty much everything now. Like I'll let the Christmas one run out and all that sort of junk. But anyway, so yeah, if we go back to say video test, or actually no, I'll show you the Christmas one. That's probably better. Okay, so let's check out events. A heap of these events, and let's check out all relays on. So remember when I said you could get an action? So I've defined what these actions are in the other one. It's pretty much setting up an event. And I said, yep, turn them all on. And then that's what it'll do. Yep. Let's check out those actions then. So if I said, you know, what does relay to off do? Yeah, video, great. Yeah, good. Anyway, relay to off because I clicked off it. Yep, nice. Yep, so it's a stop relay, device ID 12. Can you even read that? Oh gosh. Yeah, device ID 12. You know, data 2 because we're talking the pin 2 on the device. No description, no dependencies to stop it, and no game state when it's triggered, right? So that's fine. And I can repeat it over and over and over again. And I've got also, you can have actions that get triggered on other actions. So in a very specific situation that you might want a bunch of actions to happen when this particular action happens, then you can do that. Hints are very simple. It has a name so that you can, you know, put in a little drop down menu and then what the actual text is. Yep. States are very similar to that. It just has a name. That's it. And they will all be set to false at the start of the start. Yep. And again, the triggers. So this is pretty much what happens on the screen. So you got audio, visual stuff, and all that sort of thing. Now to communicate to these little guys here, I've made an entire like little, you know, 50 different ways to communicate to it. Well, actually, there's just 3. One of them I had up at the start, which is serial, so we can communicate via serial messages. So what this is my bridge node, my bridge to the mesh network, and that, you know, plugs me into the mesh, and that's cool. And I can communicate to and from the mesh via serial, so I can copy paste messages, JSON packets into here, and it will do all the things. They're all little heartbeats from the messages, cute little heartbeats. Doop, 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 doop. I can also send over HTTP to the mesh network, right? So if we, what's that say? Stop. Let's see. If we start relay 2, device 12, yep. So send that. Yep, turns out it's already on, so I need to stop it. Yeah, there we go. I don't know if you noticed the lights went all dark, but yeah. Now, if we go ahead and we can start it, you can see the lights come on. There you go, the lights come on. Let's come back on. But there's also communicates via MQTT. You guys don't have to do this. This is for the big old nerds out there anyway. MQTT communication. And so basically it's the same sort of stuff, right? So start, stop is exactly the same packet, either HTTP or MQTT. Start, stop. Yeah. I've only just got the relay up for an example because it's the much easiest thing to see. And obviously you've already seen the audio visuals before. This is the Christmas room, as you can see. I was running that. Well, I mean, it doesn't look like Christmas, but that's the URL in the address bar, right? Yep, game screen Christmas, even though it's got like executionary stuff on it. But as you can see, this one, and I forgot to put the video on loop in those triggers. That is on loop, and that's cool, and that's doing its job. But yeah, as you can see, that's our video test. Our video test is going to stay there pretty much forever until we delete it if we wanted to. So next time we turn all the computers and stuff on, all of that stuff is still there. And the more of these scripts you add, the smaller these little things will get, and they'll space out, and you'll add more things to your carousel and all that sort of stuff. Now, to show this kind of crazy stuff. Oh yeah, so here's the other tab. There you go. I can have multiple of these things running at once. We'll go to the Christmas one. We'll start that one again.
This is
fast forward that because it's annoying. So now, yeah, we can see down here we got all relays on. We can go see the actions, and we can. It's still already on. So we'll go to all relays off, and I can trigger an individual action instead of triggering the whole event. So relay off, click, and that was just clicking that. Yep, so or we can just trigger the entire event, or relays on, or relays off, and see how it just does that cool stuff right there. Yeah, there's also end instance if you just want to end the game like that. There's also, I've added the RFID card late, so that's why it's right at the bottom. But we can also force videos, so I can play this entire Redline video and stuff. But I'm not going to do that. Please don't do that. Okay, I think I killed it just then. But I do not want to play the entire Redline video right now because it goes forever. Yeah, so anyway. We can also send audio. Whoop, we can send audio. So the congratulations sound. There you go. And then the win sounds. Triggers. Yeah, begin background, best trigger, end trigger. Remember, so whatever audio and video you put inside triggers will become available in the audio and video tabs just there to pop up. Kind of like the event with many actions. This is the trigger with, you know, audio and video stuff. And yeah, we can just trigger these individual triggers manually if we want to. We can let the players do it automagically through their own thing. Yeah, it's pretty much it. More nerdy stuff though. I had a play around using node-red with the ESP32s, using, you know, my framework and connections and such. And so that was just using MQTT. Boom, comes in. This stuff at the top here is all just, you know, status messages and heartbeats. So you don't even need that. You really just need this part here, which just checks, was it an event or was it an action message? If it was an action message, like, I don't care because I don't want to do anything with it right now. But if it was an event from the keypad, if the code was that or that, yep, create a packet and then send it off. And that packet, this function right here where it says create action packet laser off, is just this. That's all it was. That's all it is. That's all that create packet is. And so it's as easy as that. And so the other neat things that I've put into this is, there's lots of little neat things. So each of those devices can become, each of one of those ESP32s can be configured to be another one of any of the other devices. I've only put a couple up here at the moment because I'm really bad at keeping documentation, but you can have it as a bridge, a keypad, an RFID, a button, a mag switch, it should be called read switch, relays, and then so for example, if I was wiring whichever this relay up and I said, man, I don't want you to be a relay anymore, I want you to be a keypad because I'm changing this room up, but I don't want to reprogram you. So I can send a message over via the mesh network and say, you are now a relay or you are now a keypad. Change this button, you know. There it goes again. So if you think, you know what, instead of a button, I wanted a keypad here. It's start the game or some kind of code thing or whatever. So you don't have to rip the damn thing out of the wall if it's stuck behind a power outlet or something, you don't have to. You can just reprogram it and just plug something else into it if you've made it accessible for yourself. So there's things like modular in the way that basically you could take just these things if you wanted to. This root server and the branch server, and forget about these devices. If you didn't want the ESP32s, that's totes cool. You could, instead of sending MQTT or HTTP, you'd still send those things if you really wanted to, but you just change the node address and you just change you get your end devices to accept those packets. Or if you didn't want any of my garbage that I've typed in up here for Node.js, you just use these things and you can communicate it to something like Node-RED. As long as, if you were going to use just this top part, if you're going to do that, then you need something that can read those JSON packets. You need to make something that would read this, because that's all my things send. That's it, and that's all it is. Super simple, like that. But yeah, you can rip it apart, pull it apart, put it back together, and it's all good. And RFID still works. Oh, there it is, and turn the light on. Neat. Yeah. And there you go, it's playing on both. But if I go over to the other one, the game has stopped. And then I can go ahead and restart that instance again. And it's fun.